Two-Face here, back with another reaction video. This time I'm reacting to Napoleon defeats Russia, Friedland, 1807. I hope it's pronounced Friedland. Because last time I thought it was the area that in the last video was called Jena, but no, it was called Jena. So I'm hoping I got it right this time with Friedland. And yeah, as I said with this reacting to a series of these Napoleonic War videos, that I'm sorry if I don't add a lot of input. It's just like myself. I've only known about the Battle of Waterloo, and but I'm not very clued up. I don't know much about Napoleon's career during the actual Napoleonic Wars. So far we've seen him defeat Austria, the Prussians, and basically anyone in the German region, and handing the Russians their first defeat. So I probably said that in the wrong order, but you know what I mean. So as I said, I'm kind of learning myself, so I apologize if my reaction seems a bit lackluster or I just don't add enough input, because as I said, I don't know much about Napoleon's earlier career during the Napoleonic Wars. So anyway, the link to the original video will be in the description down below. Please go subscribe to Epic History TV, because they do amazing, well, in my opinion, they do amazing historical content, and the detail they go through is amazing. And I know there's probably some other channels out there that could rival Epic History TV, but that's probably a discussion for another time. I don't know. But anyway, so link to the original video will be in the description down below. Please go subscribe to Epic History TV for more similar content or other historical content. And let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this. And
an Epic History TV History March collaboration, supported by our sponsor Skillshare, home of more than 22,000 online classes. Find out about our exclusive special offer at the end of the
Sorry, I thought my phone was going off. Alright, the Napoleonic Wars Part 3, Friedland, 1807. As I said, I hope it's pronounced Friedland.
1 week before Christmas 1806, French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte arrived in the Polish city of Warsaw, then part of Prussia.
I kind of feel sorry for Poland, because out of all the European countries that before World War One, I really feel sorry for Poland and Lithuania, because they just seem to be either swallowed up by Prussia or Russia or any one of the other German regions. So, and I think it was after World War One they re-emerged as its own country again, if I remember rightly.
A year had passed since his great victory over the Austrians and Russians at Austerlitz, and 2 months since he'd hammered the Prussians at Jena. But Russia still had powerful forces in the field, the most important of which was the Russian First Army,
I had to check.
Commanded by General Bennigsen.
Sorry, I had to check to make sure I was still in frame.
Napoleon would not be master of Europe until it was
defeated.
defeated.
Let me take that back.
Still, since he'd hammered the Prussians at Jena. But Russia still had powerful forces in the field.
Yeah.
The most important of which was the Russian First Army, commanded by General Bennigsen. Napoleon would not be master of Europe until it was defeated.
Wow.
And Russia and Prussia forced to make peace. But that winter, Napoleon's first attempt to trap Bennigsen near Pultusk got bogged down in thick Polish mud. The Russians withdrew to Białystok. The French army, half-starved...
Not very clued up about the, the average weather round Poland or the German and Western Russian area, so I'm not very clued up about the weather there.
And frozen, was ordered into winter quarters.
Yeah, smart.
While in Warsaw, Napoleon began a famous affair with a young Polish noblewoman,
Aye.
Marie Walewska.
Oh, that's where that name's
In
from.
the late 18th century, the once mighty Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth had been swallowed up by its neighbours,
Wow.
Russia, Austria and Prussia, in a series of annexations known as partitions,
Jeez.
until in 1795, a third and final partition wiped Poland off the map.
Wow. I think when it comes to European countries, I think Poland was the most screwed over. I could be wrong, but I'm sure someone will correct me on that fact.
Now, Polish patriots looked to Napoleon as their saviour, praying that his victories against their occupiers
Wow.
would lead to the rebirth of a Polish state. Marie Walewska became Napoleon's mistress in order to further this cause.
Wow.
Ordinary French soldiers, however, had little love for Poland. It was impoverished, freezing, and they missed home.
Wow.
Desertion rates soared. There were even 100 cases of suicide.
Jeez.
Marshal Ney, commanding 6th Corps, sent patrols towards Heilsberg, looking for better quarters. What they found were Russian and Prussian soldiers on the move. They'd stumbled into a surprise winter attack by Bennigsen.
Gee.
Napoleon quickly laid a trap for the Russian army, ordering Ney and Bernadotte to retreat and lure Bennigsen west, while he led the rest of the army north to fall on his flank and rear. But the Russians captured a French courier carrying the Emperor's orders to Marshal Bernadotte. Bennigsen, now warned of the trap, ordered a retreat, fighting a series of rearguard skirmishes against
Talk
the
about
pursuing
luck.
French. But he
All the way
refused
to
give up the
Königsberg.
city of Königsberg without a fight, and turned to give battle at Eylau.
What a massacre, and without any result. From Marshal Ney and the Battle of Eylau.
The Battle of Eylau, fought over 2 days, was one of the most brutal of the Napoleonic Wars,
And especially in
fought
winter.
in freezing conditions, with neither side backing down. Marshal Augereau's 7th Corps, advancing into the face of a snowstorm, lost its way and was cut to pieces by Russian cannon fire.
Jeez.
5 French Eagles were lost. Napoleon's army was only saved by a devastating massed cavalry charge by 10,000 horsemen,
Wow.
led by the fearless Marshal Murat, and remembered as one of the great cavalry charges in history. At Eylau, for the first time as emperor, Napoleon failed to win a clear victory on the battlefield. He and the Russians covered up the true scale of their losses.
I know I'm being Captain Obvious, but that really must have wound up Napoleon. Since he was hoping to trap the Russians.
But both sides are estimated to have lost a third of their armies in the carnage.
Wow.
After the horrors of Eylau, both armies sought time to rest and recover. Meanwhile, the newly formed French 10th Corps under Marshal Lefebvre besieged Danzig, held by 13,000 Prussians under General Kalkreuth. The city came under heavy French bombardment and infantry assault. After 8 weeks, with no prospect of reinforcement, the Prussian garrison surrendered on the 27th of May. Napoleon's northern sea flank was now secure against any possible Russian landing.
Wow.
The French Emperor now commanded an army 190,000 strong, against just 115,000 Russian and Prussian troops. But it was Bennigsen who moved.
Where you think, even with numbers and also under the guidance of Napoleon himself, you can see why it was one of the most formidable forces on the entire planet.
First, launching a surprise attack against Ney's 6th Corps on the 5th of June. Ney conducted a brilliant fighting withdrawal and escaped. Bennigsen, Napoleon advancing, retreated once more. 4 days later at Heilsberg, the French lost 10,000 men in a botched assault against Russian defenses.
Wow.
But the Russians continued their retreat the next day. Napoleon thought Bennigsen would head north to Königsberg, but instead he retreated northeast, keeping to the east bank of the Aller River. So when Napoleon's army marched north, it was Marshal Lannes' Reserve Corps on his right flank that next encountered the Russian army, near the small town of Friedland.
Ah, so I did pronounce it right. Ride your horse into the ground if you have to, but tell the Emperor we're fighting the entire Russian army. Marshal Lannes to his aide-de-camp?
In the late afternoon of the 13th of June, Russian cavalry scouts informed General Bennigsen that they'd found a single French corps at Friedland. Bennigsen decided he had time to cross the Aller River and smash this isolated corps before the rest of the French army could arrive to save it. And he ordered his army to begin crossing the river. Marshal Lannes, commanding 16,000 men and facing 46,000 Russians, sent an urgent message to Napoleon that he was under attack from the main Russian army. Then he fought a skillful delaying action, hiding the weakness of his force behind a large screen of skirmishers, while gradually yielding ground to the enemy. Lannes was still holding off the Russians as darkness fell.
Wow.
That night, Russian engineers built 3 pontoon bridges at Friedland to speed the movement of troops over the river.
But wouldn't that mean their back is to the river?
Bennigsen was taking a huge risk. If this turned into a major battle, his army would have to fight with its back to the river.
Yeah, that's what I just
said. The steep banks of the Mill Stream dividing its left wing from its right. Bennigsen had also badly underestimated the speed at which Napoleon's Grande Armée would react. The first French reinforcements arrived that night. The Emperor himself wasn't far behind.
You won't catch enemy making a mistake like this twice. Napoleon on arriving at Friedland.
By dawn on the 14th of June, about 40,000 Russians had crossed to the west bank of the Aller River. Bennigsen ordered an attack on the village of Heinrichsdorf.
Sorry for the yawning. I've made the mistake of doing reaction videos at 11:30 at night. So I'm not yawning because of what the video's got. I'm yawning because I'm doing this late at night.
To turn the French left flank. But French cavalry reinforcements, led by General Grouchy, intercepted the Russians. In more than an hour of charge and countercharge, the French horsemen finally drove the Russians back.
And they got their back to the Aller River.
Marshal Mortier's 8th Corps now arrived to reinforce the French centre. In Sortlac Wood, General Oudinot's elite Grenadier Division fought stubbornly against Prince Bagration's left wing, but was outnumbered by the Russians and gradually pushed back. Around noon on a sweltering day, Napoleon himself arrived. He was was soon followed by 1st Corps, commanded by General Victor, standing in for the wounded Marshal Bernadotte, as well as Ney's 6th Corps and the Imperial Guard under Marshal Bessières. The date, the 14th of June, held special significance for Napoleon. It was the 7th anniversary of his great victory over the Austrians at Marengo.
Oh, yeah?
A good omen, he declared. The battle then entered a lull, as Napoleon assessed the situation, saw Bennigsen's dangerous position, and issued orders for an attack to take advantage of it. Bennigsen, meanwhile, who was tormented by ill health throughout the day, saw that he now faced the full might of Napoleon's army, and issued orders for a retreat.
This is the objective. Advance, looking whether nor left, but bore into the thick mass and cost what it may. Napoleon to Marshal
But before Bennigsen's retreat could get underway, at 5:30 p.m, 3 salvos from the French guns signaled the start of Napoleon's attack. It was led by Ney's 6th Corps on the right wing, who first cleared Bagration's infantry from Sortlac Wood. But as Ney's troops left the cover of the trees, they came under heavy fire from Russian cannon across the river. As the French attack faltered, Prince Bagration rallied his men and launched a cavalry counterattack. Ney's corps retreated. But now General Victor's 1st Corps came up on his left. Its artillery commander, General Senarmont, advanced with 30 guns.
Wow.
Blasted the Russians at point-blank range with case shot.
Oh yeah, that's nasty.
Hundreds of Russians were mown down within minutes. Under this...
For those of you who don't know what case shot is, it's like basically it acts like a giant shotgun shell, but it's like, instead of like tens of pellets, this is like hundreds of musket balls all firing out. Like most guns fire like straight ahead, but this fires like that. And if it's against infantry and cavalry, it'll literally take out loads of rank. It'll take out rank after rank of people. Some reported it could take out 100 people in a single shot. A single canister shot can take out 100 people in one rank. But that's what I've heard. I don't know if that's true or not.
Onslaught, Bagration's men began to waver and then retreat.
Wow.
Around 7 p.m, the Russian Imperial Guard launched a desperate counterattack to try to halt the French advance on Friedland.
Wow.
But they were outnumbered and outgunned. As exploding shells began to start fires in Friedland, the French centre and left wing joined the attack. With its only escape route under threat, the entire Russian army began a panicked retreat towards the river. But Friedland's houses and bridges were now ablaze. The town became a deadly trap for the Russians. Many were drowned trying to cross the river.
Wow.
Others killed or captured. North of Friedland, some units were able to escape across a ford or along the river bank.
Well, that's lucky, I suppose.
But there was no disguising the Russians' terrible defeat. The Battle of Friedland was one of the most decisive victories of Napoleon's career. At the cost of 10,000 casualties,
Wow.
he had inflicted twice as many losses on the Russians. About 20,000 men, killed, wounded or taken prisoner. 40% of Bennigsen's army. The Prussians abandoned Königsberg the next day, which was occupied by Soult's 4th Corps, while Bennigsen's shattered army retreated across the river Niemen into Russia. Tsar Alexander's advisors implored him to make peace with Napoleon. He accepted their advice, and a ceasefire was agreed.
Perhaps Perhaps I was the happiest at Tilsit. I found myself victorious, dictating laws, having emperors and kings pay me court. Napoleon in exile on St. Helena.
Alexander and Napoleon met for the first time aboard a raft in the middle of the River Niemen, near Tilsit, and developed an immediate rapport. Tilsit proved to be one of history's great diplomatic summits, as the two emperors feted each other for days, with banquets, parades and concerts, then discussed affairs late into the night. A friendship of sorts developed, while Russia's former ally, King Frederick William of Prussia, was left out in the cold.
Wow.
And it was Prussia who would lose most in the treaties of Tilsit, signed 2 weeks later.
Jeez.
1/3 of Prussian territory was taken away to create the new Kingdom of Westphalia, to be ruled by Napoleon's 22-year-old brother Jerome, and the Duchy of Warsaw, to be ruled by the King of Saxony, which Polish patriots hoped would prove a stepping stone on the road to their own state. Polish troops were recruited into the Grande Armée, with Polish lancers even forming part of Napoleon's elite Imperial Guard. Russia only had to give up the Ionian Islands, as Alexander accepted an alliance with Napoleon that left the French Emperor master of Europe. Alexander even agreed to join the Continental System, Napoleon's economic blockade of Great Britain, which banned British ships and goods from all French-controlled ports.
Wow.
The system had been established the previous winter by Napoleon's Berlin Decree.
Wow.
Napoleon hoped that by cutting off British trade with Europe, he'd cause financial chaos and political upheaval in Britain, allowing him to make a favourable peace. There was just one problem. The Continental System didn't work. Not only was it impossible to enforce and undermined by widespread smuggling,
Wow.
the system damaged French trade just as much as British trade.
That's got to be embarrassing. It looked like it did look like a very well planned out system, but then out of nowhere, well, mind you, I think Britain would have still got trade from its overseas colonies, like in India, the Asian continents like India, parts of Malaysia, I think, and I think sorry, I just had to remember. I think the dates after whatever colonies that Britain had, it's probably still get trade from there. And as the narrator just said, this continental system was was almost impossible to enforce, and vulnerable to smuggling. So, because it just shows that the only other part that's not controlled by the French is up here in Sweden. So, as I said, I'm not very clued up on what Sweden was doing during these times. So, but let's just get on with the video.
The weapon in this economic war would prove to be the British Royal Navy, which that summer ensured its continued naval dominance by launching a preemptive strike against the neutral Danish fleet at Copenhagen, capturing their warships before they could fall into Napoleon's hands.
I didn't know Britain
Royal
would attack
Navy
Denmark.
squadrons blockaded all major French ports, seizing any ships trading with France, while ensuring British merchants could continue to trade overseas in relative safety. The Navy even seized the tiny Danish island of Heligoland as a base for smuggling British goods into Europe. But most disastrously for Napoleon, the continental system would draw him into two conflicts that proved ruinous for his empire. The first would be fought in the Iberian Peninsula, where
Portugal and
Napoleon
Spain.
decided to force Britain's ally, Portugal, to to join the continental system.
Wow.
In November 1807, French troops, supported by their Spanish ally, invaded the country. The Portuguese royal family fled to their colony of Brazil, as the French occupied Lisbon without a fight. It looked as though Napoleon had won yet another easy victory. But the Peninsular War was just beginning. Thanks to our sponsor Skillshare for supporting this video. Skillshare membership offers instant access. Thanks to the YouTube channel History March for creating the battle map and animations.
Wow.
And to all our Patreon supporters for me.
And that'll do it. This is another interesting video, and soon I will react to I think the next one, by the looks of it, is Napoleon's Great Blunder, Spain 1808. I will react to that one probably next weekend, hopefully, and hopefully I won't make the mistake of doing reactions late at night, because that's what was causing me to yawn. But it was an interesting video, and wow, even Russia joining Napoleon. So, and again, it's another interesting video. If you like this reaction, please like, comment, subscribe. Please let me try and get me to 100 subscribers, if not more. And if you enjoy this, I'll see you in the next one.